Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, I would say it's hard to believe what Donald Trump just did, but it's not, because he is plainly determined to destroy the legitimacy of all institutions of government and to use the Department of Justice as a weapon against his foes. Let's start with the new reporting. This from The Guardian. Headline, White House aide sworn in as interim U.S. attorney after Trump fired predecessor. Appointment of Lindsay Halligan, who has no prosecutorial experience, alarmed current and former prosecutors. I can attest to that because I sure as hell am alarmed. My editorial edition. The article begins, Lindsay Halligan, a White House aide, was sworn in on Monday as the interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia after Donald Trump removed her predecessor, who declined to bring charges against James Comey, the former FBI director, and Letitia James, the New York Attorney General. The appointment of Halligan, who has no prosecutorial experience and was the most junior lawyer on Trump's personal legal team, alarmed current and former prosecutors about political pressure to indict the president's political enemies, regardless of the strength of the evidence. For months, federal prosecutors investigated whether there was sufficient evidence to act on referrals by Trump officials at other agencies against Comey for lying to Congress about matters related to the 2016 election, and against James for mortgage fraud over a house she bought her niece. The prosecutors ultimately concluded that there was insufficient evidence to bring charges against either Comey or James, leading Trump to issue a series of extraordinary social media posts over the weekend demanding that the Justice Department seek criminal charges regardless. Halligan's lack of prosecutorial experience was notable given the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia occupies one of the most sensitive posts at the Justice Department and oversees around 300 lawyers and staff. With the Pentagon and the CIA nearby, the office also handles sensitive national security cases. But not to worry, friends. Ms. Halligan has some impressive legal experience. Before joining the White House, Halligan was an insurance lawyer in Florida and worked for the Save America PAC before joining the Trump legal team as the most junior lawyer, helping to draft briefs in the federal criminal case over Trump's mishandling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago club. But in fairness, Ms. Halligan has some other work experience. In January 2025, Trump named Halligan as the White House Senior Associate Staff Secretary. She advocated for Trump to take action against exhibits at Smithsonian Institution museums that she saw as disparaging the United States. In March, Trump signed an executive order appointing Halligan to lead an initiative to review the Smithsonian's museums. So it kind of seems like in that position, Ms. Halligan was less fact checker and more fact cleanser. Not to worry, she has some more experience that I guess is relevant to being the top federal prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia. Ms. Halligan competed in the Miss Colorado USA pageant in 2009 and 2010, reaching the semifinals and earning third runner-up, respectively. Now, friends, I know none of this is really funny. It is horrifying, and it's dangerous. Consider this. The guy that Donald Trump had put in that position previously, right after Trump got sworn in the second time, is a guy named Eric Siebert. Siebert had been a federal prosecutor in that office in Virginia since 2010. And the reporting was that when Donald Trump started to post all kinds of garbage about how he needed to get rid of Siebert and he needed anybody to prosecute his political enemies, Siebert resigned. And the reporting indicated that when he addressed the employees at the Eastern District of Virginia U.S. Attorney's Office and announced his resignation, several of them were in tears because he was an experienced, well-regarded, fair, honest, ethical prosecutor, and he refused to criminally indict Letitia James or James Comey because they didn't commit any crimes. There was no evidence supporting criminal indictment. So, of course, the question now becomes, will Lindsay Halligan be willing to bring a bogus, bullshit, evidence-free, vindictive prosecution against James and Comey because dear leader is demanding that they be prosecuted? Well, let me tell you what will happen if she does. First of all, she's going to have to find federal prosecutors who are willing to operate ethics-free and actually stand up in court and defend a baseless prosecution. And if she can find those kind of prosecutors at the Department of Justice, at the Eastern District of Virginia U.S. Attorney's Office, first of all, they will all be putting their license to practice law on the line, because when you look at the history here, it has been decided by actual experienced, honest, ethical federal prosecutors that these indictments are not supported by the evidence. So these attorneys, these prosecutors, if they decide to try to bring these cases at Donald Trump's insistence, will find themselves referred to their state bar counsel for ethics investigations, sanctions, up to and including disbarment. And as the person who made the decision to bring those cases, Ms. Halligan will be right there with them, being referred to her state bar for an ethics investigation for having authorized, approved, green-lit these bogus indictments. And the other thing that will happen is when they walk into court and they offer these bogus indictments to federal judges and they want those judges to set trial dates, you know what's going to happen? The attorneys for Jim Comey and Letitia James will almost instantly file motions to dismiss based on vindictive prosecution, perhaps also selective prosecution. They're related defenses, but there are some legal differences between the two. And I have to believe it will be the most compelling vindictive prosecution motion ever filed by a criminal defendant. And I believe any federal judge would, figuratively speaking, cram those cases down the throats of the DOJ prosecutors, the federal prosecutors who were unethical enough to bring them. And that's what should happen to those prosecutors and to U.S. Attorney Halligan, because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.